So I wrote my IGCSEs in May-June 2022 and I did manage to get some good grades. In this video, I share with you the ultimate tips and resources that can help you get good grades in your IGCSEs as well. Stay tuned till the end. So firstly, I'd recommend you to make notes for each one of the subjects that you're planning on writing. The good part about notes is that, the day, a week before your actual exams, studying the entire book can be pretty hectic, and I personally wouldn't recommend doing that. Now, you can write your own notes, like you can make your own notes handwritten, or you can print out the ones that are already available on the internet. I personally went for the ones that are already available on the internet. Do whatever you want to do, okay? One thing that you have to make sure is that your notes are updated in terms of like having everything that you require to know. So how do you do that? Cambridge puts out the syllabus for each one of the subjects for each specific years. Go to the internet and find it out for the specific subjects that you're writing and go through the syllabus, go through the entire thing. They specify a lot. Sometimes it's like define this, define that, so you know that you have to know the meaning of those words. Go through that syllabus and make sure that you're covering everything that Cambridge requires you to know. That's going to be very helpful for you. Another thing that I'd recommend you to do for all of your subjects is to practice past papers, because honestly they're the most helpful form of revision in your IGCSEs. Like, I mean it genuinely, not just for subjects like maths or something, even for the linguistic subjects or for the sciences. I believe past papers are going to help you a lot. I personally like to start doing past papers from the latest years. For instance, if I'm writing in 2023, I'd first do the ones of 2022 and then I'd go behind the years. I personally got my past papers from the two websites, which are Papa Cambridge and GCSE Guide. Link to them would be available in the description box below. For paper 1 theory, I'd recommend you to practice as many past papers as you can and then make notes or flashcards using the answers that you get in the mark scheme. This helped me personally a lot because my textbook did not contain a lot of information, and also there's a great chance of the questions being repeated, which I believe did happen to me once in my exam, and it was great. And also practice the conversion questions a lot, because you cannot use a calculator in your exam, at least that's what it is as of 2023, and B, it is one of the easiest questions in your exam. For notes, I'd recommend two websites. The first one is Bits of Bytes. This website has some really good simple notes for IGCSE Computer Science, and it has updated ones for the 2023 syllabus, which is really great. The second one I'd recommend is Z Notes. Honestly, my entire IGCSE notes was Z Notes. So for explanation videos for computer science, I'd recommend two YouTube channels. The first one is IGCSE Online. This channel did help me a lot, especially the past paper walkthrough for computer science. The second one that I'd recommend will be Mr. Bulmer's Learning Zone. Honestly speaking, I did not use this channel personally during my time of revision for IGCSEs, but from what I see, this channel does have a lot of good explanation videos, especially for the syllabus of 2023. Honorable mention, I believe, should be the Fetch and Execute Cycle video by Tom Scott. Honestly, that video really helped me to make a lot of my understanding better, especially relating to that topic, so do check that video out. For biology, there is a good amount of definitions that you must know for the theory paper. So, do you get your syllabus? Find out what you need to know and memorize those definitions. For physics, there aren't many definitions that you have to know, but it's them formulas that you have to memorize. So, do make a list of all the formulas that you have to know and memorize them. For paper 6, constructing your own experiment may seem like a daunting task, and it is probably the question carrying the most marks. I would recommend watching videos of people doing that experiment, especially if you haven't done them by yourself in school or if you don't remember much about the experiments. For notes for the three sciences, I'd recommend obviously Z Notes, IGCSE Aid, SaveMyExams.com, and Physics and Math Tutor. For past paper solve along, I'd recommend the IGCSE channel, Science and Stuff. Honestly, doing past papers on YouTube is like the best thing that I did in my journey, because in YouTube they do explain it to you, like why is this the answer, which in my opinion is great. For explanation, I'd recommend Cambridge in 5 minutes. This was my lifesaver in physics with the playlist, but he's got them for chemistry and biology as well, so do check it out. Cognito is a really good channel as well, and Miles Murray Education. This was the channel that I mainly used for the experiments for paper 6. Honorable mentions. Firstly, Tyler DeWitt. This man helped me ace chemistry and he's been my savior. His videos, especially the electrolysis one, helped me build a good foundation in chem. So if you're struggling with chem, like seriously, this guy's videos are going to be your savior. Secondly, for alternative to practical, I'd recommend two videos. Firstly, Alternative to Practical Tips and Tricks by Biolog. This video has it all, especially for biology. And secondly, the Alternative to Practical Guide by Cambridge in 5 minutes. These two videos together, I believe, combine great tips for you to succeed in your biology paper 6. The most important thing in IGCSE business studies is understanding how to answer the question. It is very important to familiarize with the usage of knowledge, application, analysis, and evaluation. I mean it when I say it. If you get the hang of these four concepts and understand how to answer the questions, your grade can be saved very much. I'd recommend checking the sample answers in the mark scheme for understanding about these concepts, and notice how the questions are marked. That way you somehow figure out what the examiner will be looking for in your answer for the specific questions. I didn't really find a lot of resources for IGCSE business studies, but there's this one YouTube channel that I recommend to you. It's called Ed's Business Essentials. This was literally the only YouTube channel that I found which talks about how to answer the questions in business IGCSEs. Although many of the content in that channel is limited and requires subscription, I personally went to go with the free ones. The best tip that I can give you for English is just to read a lot. Honestly speaking, there's no way I was getting the A star that I got if I had never read so many novels before in my life. If there isn't much time left for you to read actual complete books, I'd recommend you to read short narrative writing extracts on the internet or random chapters from any books that you can find. I'd also suggest you to create a vocabulary book in which you should write down some words with their meanings, part of speech, and some sentences using those words. Afterwards, you just have to keep going over that book again and again, and eventually, hopefully, the words will get installed in your mind. Another tip that I will give you is to plan your time for each question. 2 hours fly by really fast, especially when you're writing the IGCSE First Language English exam. I would suggest you to practice past papers using a time limit so you're more aware and you get the hang of the speed that you should be using to answer those questions in time. The best YouTube channel that I can recommend you for IGCSE First Language English is IGCSE Success. I'm not exaggerating by any means when I say that this channel had a huge hand behind me getting that A star in English exam. His videos are amazing for literally everything in paper 1 and a bit of paper 2. He has also made some workbooks during the major season of 2022, which I used and were a massive help for me. You can find those in his YouTube channel. As I said before, his videos are mainly for paper 1. So for paper 2, I went for 2 other channels, Miss Duckworth's Classroom and Schofield Shakespeare. These 2 were my saviors for paper 2. Their videos spoke a lot about how to structure your text, what to include to get the maximum marks, and some other great tips which can really save you for English First Language paper 2. The most important thing in maths is to know all the formulas, especially when it comes to mensuration. Make sure you don't mess that part up because that's like a huge part of the paper. Practicing past papers is also very essential. It's literally the only way you can study for maths. The questions may not always repeat, but you'll somehow understand and get used to the types of questions that would be there and therefore do better in your actual exam. A good way to remember the formulas for mensuration is to understand where they come from. In the words of my maths teacher, don't cram, understand the concept. I'd recommend you to watch YouTube to understand why the formulas are the way that they are. Honestly, for me, it really helped, and I don't think I'd ever completely forget the formulas now. For notes, I'd recommend this website called IGCSE Maths. This website has some really good handwritten maths notes. I personally couldn't really go through all of them because I discovered them very late during my revision period, but I feel that they're going to be very helpful for you. For explanation, I would suggest the YouTube channel called The Maths Prof. This woman saved my life, I tell ya. Her explanations are top-notch quality, I mean it. Check out her videos, they're really good. Past papers solve along, these channels were the ones that I genuinely needed because clearly the mark scheme answers are not always helpful. So the channels that I went for were Science and Math papers, IGCSE on fingertips, Science and Math, and the Math Academy. So this was my list of resources and tips for IGCSEs. I know that there are many more helpful content out there on the internet, but these were the ones that helped me personally during my time. I hope this was useful to you. Feel free to comment down below any other tips or resources that you know that can help the other person with their IGCSEs. Study for your exams and ace them like Federer. Goodbye.